Hi everybody, Alan Dowsell from Pipe9 here. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus in on some of the new capabilities in SkillMe 2.0, especially those new capabilities that we've added for managers to make the process for managers of completing perspectives for their teams so much more efficient and strategic. So when we were thinking about how we could improve the process for managers of completed perspectives, we had two goals in mind. One, we wanted to make the process much more effective and efficient for them. And two, we wanted to kind of enable them to elevate, their perspectives process to help them think much more strategically about the skill development plan for their teams, That yes, that individual view is very important, but for managers, perhaps also the view that's very important is the team view. I'm building this team, I'm the coach of the team, and I want to think about where I really need to develop the skills of my team, and build out that kind of team skills plan. So these were the two goals that we had for making the process for managers completing perspectives so much more efficient, effective, and strategic. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to share my desktop. And I'm going to show you how managers now go through the process of completing perspective. So I'm in perspective. You can see this up on the top left-hand part of the screen here. I've got my three options: sales, skills board, perspectives, and report. And I'm in perspectives. And I've started to go through the process of completing my perspectives. And I'm just going to pick it up here. I'm going to go into one of the skills. This skill is called Pipeline Builder. So in this case, you can see that over on the top right-hand side of my screen, if I wanted to choose individual team members, I can just kind of choose individual team members here. Or I could actually select all of my team members. And when I select all of my team members, what happens is this, what we will now refer to as a skills sheet for managers, gets populated with all of their team members. Now, the idea of this skills sheet, I guess it's like a spreadsheet, it's like a smart sheet. It enables managers to get smarter about how they think about, developing the skills of their team as a whole. And so my team members have been added onto my skills sheet automatically. You see that here. And what it enables me to do is, based upon this skill associated with building pipeline, what I can start to do is to think about kind of where my team members are. And I can kind of create what I would refer to as teams within teams, because maybe some of my team members are at different stages in their skills development. So for example, I'm going to say for everybody, this skill is critical. Everybody, it's a critical skill. And I'm just going to kind of drag critical down, and I'm going to apply critical as the importance level to all of my team members for this skill, because I think it's really critical for everybody in my team. But in terms of frequency and proficiency, I think my team are at different stages. They're at different levels. So for Henry, Mason, and Jacob, for example, I think in terms of frequency, they're really just executing the methods, the practices, the principles associated with building pipeline. I think they're just doing it sometimes. And I'm going to just kind of, put sometimes in here for those three team members. And their proficiency levels, I think they're just really at the very basic level. They're at the foundational level. Or I might say, for these people, I think maybe, frequency, they're never really executing the methods, the principles. They really haven't started out in terms of executing. And proficiency is the foundation of a very basic level of knowledge, of understanding of the critical methods, processes, and practices associated with building pipeline. And then perhaps for other members of my team, I think they're a little bit more advanced. I think for Noah, Liam, and Ethan, I think for them, this is a skill. The frequency of executing these skills is sometimes, and the level of proficiency for them, they're more at the intermediate level. And I'm just going to apply those levels to those 3 team members like that. And then for Amelia, Emily, Tracy, and Jessica on my team, I think these people are very experienced on my team. They've been doing pipeline building around our solutions for a number of years now. And I think they're always applying the methods, the principles, and the practices. And I think their level of expertise is that they are truly my experts on my team. They've mastered the methods, the processes, the practices associated with pipeline building. So what I've now done is I've kind of created my skills sheet for my team associated with skills around pipeline building. And I did that really quickly. It was really simple for me to do. And I've created these teams and then teams. And the application now is automatically starting to make suggestions to me. What suggestions is it making? Well, the first suggestion it's making is for Harry, Mason, and Jacob. They're starting out. So when you're starting out in terms of learning about the methods, the principles, and practices associated with skill, what types of, L&R, learning and readiness, is going to be helpful to you? Well, when you're starting out, you want to go on the courses, don't you? You want to attend the courses that your organization might have developed that can provide you with that foundational knowledge. Now, for Noah, Liam, and Ethan, they're in a different stage. They're looking to accelerate their development. They've already got the foundational skills. So how can we accelerate their foundational knowledge that they've already got? Well, one of the ways that we can do that is by connecting them with people who have mastered the skills associated with being a pipeline builder. Well, who are the people on my team who have mastered these skills? Well, I can see it right here. Amelia, Emily, Tracy, and Jessica, the people who have mastered the skill. And I want to team up Amelia, Emily, Tracy, and Jessica with Noah, Liam, and Ethan. And just by going through the process of doing this, what is happening in the background of the application is we are making these connections, because when Noah, Liam, and Ethan go back to their skills board and they double click on a skill, and that skill opens up, and perhaps that skill is one of their priority skills, and they go to experts because they're looking to connect with people who are experts in the skill. Guess who are the people that will show up for them? It will be Amelia, Emily, Tracy, and Jessica. They will show up. So what team leaders are really doing here when they complete their skills sheets is they're actually making these important connections, and they're making important decisions about the type of actions that they can take, they would recommend that people take to accelerate their skills. Because for Harry, Mason, Jacob, it's really all about getting on these courses, these foundational courses. And for Noah, Liam, and Ethan, it's all about connecting with people who have mastered these skills across my team, or indeed across the community. And that is exactly what we're doing here. Now, it might well be that when we look at other skills, the manager looks at other skills, team leader looks at other skills, what they might want to do is say that this next skill is very, very similar to being a pipeline builder. So that I could kind of move through some of these skills here. Look, for example, let me just toggle through a couple of skills here, and I'm going to go to this skill, overseas sales pipeline, CRM. This skill is kind of analogous to the previous skill that I just completed the skill sheet for, right? It's kind of similar, overseas sales pipeline, CRM. So what a manager could actually do now is they can say this skill, in terms of my skill sheet, I think it's going to be very, very similar to that previous skill. And there's a little icon top right-hand corner here, and I can click on this icon, where I can kind of do a copy and paste. I can choose the skill. What was that skill that we were just working on? What was it called? It's called Pipeline Builder. So I can choose Pipeline Builder here. And look what I can do. I can now apply the same perspectives that I applied to Pipeline Builder to this skill. Right there it is. I've applied exactly the same perspective to one skill, but I've based it on a skill that I've already completed. And so this makes the process for managers of completing their perspectives so much more efficient. And it provides them with this kind of strategic perspective, to really think about, their team as being teams within a team, teams within their team. And then thinking about that people are going to be at different levels for these skills. They're not all going to be at the same level, and therefore the types of actions that they would recommend are going to be different. And also thinking about these important connection points that we want to make. Because not only are Amelia, Emily, Tracy, and Jessica going to be people who have mastered this skill and therefore looking to model these methods, these practices that they've mastered for others on the team, but also these people can model these methods, these process they've mastered for others across the community as a whole. So managers are not only here thinking about making the connections within their team, but by doing this, they're also making connections for the community as a whole. So we have this kind of bigger, connection process that managers are now part of, that managers are now enabling and driving, that can have a big impact upon accelerating the skill of the community as a whole. That we know from our experience can actually have a big impact upon the performance of the business as a whole. Because just by doing this, managers are making those connection points within their team, and they're setting up these connection points to be made for the community as a whole. So this is how we've made the process for managers of completing perspectives so much more efficient. Now, there's one thing I want to show you. Another thing I want to show you is that if I just move to another skill, one of the things that we've done, because this was a request from managers, when now for a skill, a manager says that a skill is just not going to be important, look, and they drag that skill down. And by the way, I can drag down and I can drag up, because the manager is saying that this skill is just not going to be important for their team through this next period. It doesn't mean to say this skill might not come around at a later point and become more important, but for this next period, a manager is saying for all of my team members, this skill is not going to be important, or maybe it's just for some of their team members, it's not going to be important. And you see when not important is applied, automatically the action that gets associated with this skill is stop. Stop investing any of your skilling time in this skill because it's not going to be important. And therefore, frequency and proficiency, NA, is applied to frequency and proficiency because it's just not going to be applicable. So again, we're making the process of managers making strategic decisions about the skills that their team should be investing in through this next period, and the skills that their team should not be investing in through this period. Not to say those skills won't come back round in the future and become more important, but for this next period, they're not. Making these decisions, the strategizing around skill development teams, so much more effective and efficient for managers. So these are some of the capabilities that we've added for managers to help them go through the process of completing perspectives, so much more efficient, effective, and much more strategic. All right, well, thanks very much for watching this video. The next video that I would guide you to is the video that really focuses on how SkillMe can actually help accelerate these skills that we are prioritizing for our people. When we're making these connections, how then is SkillMe actually helping to accelerate these skills that we're prioritizing for our team members? Watch out for that video, and thank you very much indeed for taking time out to watch this video with me, and thank you.